because like every journey starts somewhere. One of the things that really intrigued me when I read about your life previous to knowing you, because I haven't known you your whole life. You were an engineer for like 11 years. How did that come through?
How did I choose engineering, you mean, or how did I switch from engineering to this kind of unknown path?
Well, both. How was engineering calling you, and then what was the switch from engineering to this new path?
Okay, yeah. So engineering, I remember very well when I was 17. It was very difficult for me to choose a career path, to choose something that would identify me for for the rest of my life. Honestly, it was creating so much pressure. I really remember the stress that it was putting on my teenager body. And I was like, I could not grasp that concept. How can I choose something that is for my life? At least a box like this, right? So I had a few choices on my list. I either wanted to be a biology teacher, or I wanted to be a mechanical engineer, or I wanted to teach kids. And if I look at my path, all three career paths have been part of my path, but in a different way. They all ended up manifesting in a different way. And why I chose engineering, it's very interesting because at that moment I was seeking for freedom. There was something there was something about engineering that really called me around the notion of empowerment already. So this was my idea of empowerment back then. I knew that not many women were going through engineering, but besides this, I could feel, and I could not name it like this back then, but I could feel an energy. I could feel something that was potent, that was really, really appealing to me. And I even remember telling my father at that moment, I was like, wow, there's something super powerful about that thing, and it's making me very curious. So one of the strings was power, was empowerment. The second thing was also my mind, the way it was thinking. I used to love building stuff. I used to watch, on TV, everything that's about unbuilding something, unconstructing something, and rebuilding something, or building from scratch, being very creative with raw materials. So this was kind of the building aspect of my design that appealed. And yes, and the understanding portion of things, understanding how system works. So those were three main aspects of why I ended up choosing engineering. And if I combine this with the love of human development, which attracted me to children, to teaching children, and also biology, which really attracted me to biomechanics and how the body functions. At the end of the day, what I'm offering right now is a combination of all of this. The only thing is that it has a box combining the design, the root, the source of the purpose of all of those things. And it's creating this box that we call now the authentic woman you are, or whatever platform we can offer. But that's really the what was calling me when I shifted from engineering to the unknown. It's because this was a calling in my heart. I was like, there is another way of living. Like, it's not possible that I'm gonna finish my life on a retirement plan with an 8 to 5 job and only having weekends, or having to take my backpack when I have vacation to go and explore what life is really about. This was really back then this huge calling of freedom, this huge calling of understanding how life functions at a deeper level and finding truth somehow. And I didn't have those words back then, but it was really appealing. So yeah, I mean, and I traveled a lot. I opened my mind a lot, and it came to a point where the calling became stronger than the fears. I still had a lot of fears when I made that jump and went into my boss's office and told him, listen, I really need to go home. But despite the fears, I knew that if I continued, I would have gotten sick, literally. I was starting to be in a depression. It was lacking meaning. And I was like, I just need to go home, meaning my temple, my body. And it totally shifted my life. And this is how this new path started for me.
What were the symptoms you were experiencing at that time where you felt that this wasn't the path that was for you, but you were kind of in between? Like, what was coming up for you at that moment?
Hmm. Well, definitely lack of meaning. Lack of meaning was one thing. Another thing was the cold aspect of corporate environment, meaning lack of communication, lack of warmth in human relationships. I was also in a man's environment. So, and I was trying to get pregnant back then and I couldn't. So it really made me question if my environment was not preventing my body to receive the seed of life and to carry life in my womb. My pelvis had become stiffer. Like I was less, I felt less movement, sexuality, like the intimacy part also of my body, like I could feel um, had become, I don't want to say distorted, but really like it was less functioning naturally. Like I had to be more creative, let's say, for me to feel something. And I'm sharing very vulnerably here, but really those are symptoms that I also see in many women when they reach that wall of, and that wall says, listen, something needs to change if you want to enter your creative potential. So those were symptoms. Another symptom that I just named was starting to feel depressed with the lack of meaning. I could feel my lungs crunching. I could feel my energy dropping. I couldn't see a vision. Like I was like walking and somehow it lost taste. Life started losing taste. And as I was having those symptoms in parallel, something beautiful was opening that opened my curiosity. And like um like being aware that a parallel world existed. Like I knew that my senses could go deeper. I had some windows of awakenings when I was traveling that guided me towards something. I had been in one spiritual community, Pachamama, actually where I am right now, that stayed in my life since then, that really opened the window of, oh my gosh, like just your awareness. And I'm not going to enter that story right now, but I had windows of different frequencies, let's put it like this. And those frequencies started guiding my path and made me taste something deeper. And the clash, the difference became obvious. I'm like, whoa, I cannot continue like this because now I have seen and I have started tasting even very subtly something different. So this lost its power. And so even with all those symptoms, I was like, well, let's go and jump into this unknown because there is something in my heart I knew, and in my even in my short experiences, I knew something else existed.
What was the kind of the first step you took towards that new path?
The first step. So the first step really was traveling, being really a freedom seeker. So I traveled my whole 20s. And then I landed in this spiritual community. That can be a second step that was very, very intense. And then the third step would really be having the courage to realize that I wanted to quit corporate life. And yes, to have this courage. Then the fourth step, let me just go like this as it unfolds. The fourth step was really dive inside, which is a huge turning point and why I offer everything that I offer right now. Everything that I can dare to say I teach or that I transmit is because I have experienced directly in my body. So when that fourth step was entering home, entering this body, I was meditating a lot in those years, in that year or 3 years when I left corporate environment. I discovered how the body speaks. I also surrounded myself by teachers. I didn't do this on my own. And I started, I knew I wanted to be of service. So I started small meditation courses, for example, or, having a masotherapy certification and starting just to learn what it is to accompany the human being. So I got trained in different modalities. My main training was yoga therapy. For about 10 years, I was immersed in the same school as you were, actually, called the Engineering of the Human Body back then when I entered. and engineering and human body for me clicked right away. I had no doubt, and I dove in fully. And it taught me so much. I mean, I cannot name what I discovered because it's for you, for everybody who's listening to discover, but it gave me cues of pathways of how to get that information from inside the body, how to ground and feel safe inside the body, which is part of the steps really. How to feel safe into oneself, and all of this. But those were kind of the steps that led me now to offer those spaces, and it built along the last 11 years. It built, and I followed the breadcrumbs, and I started trusting my intuition more, and all of this. Those were the tools, the body especially. And yes, and then I got pregnant. I left corporate environment. I listened to the body, and life appeared inside my womb. A baby appeared inside my womb. So it was beautiful lesson. Beautiful lesson.
It's do you think that being a mom has really brought you more towards your path? Is that something that was kind of a milestone for you, having a mom?
Yes, it's a huge huge topic. We could even have one conversation on this literally, but I'm really receiving the question, and let me see what wants to be shared in summary for this is what it taught me is the importance of creating space in our body to receive our creative power and to receive a seed that wants to grow organically. So I was really studying that phenomenon inside my body as the seed was growing. And it was super important for me as an attitude to offer the most space in my body for the fetus to grow the most organically and spaciously possible. Because somehow on this path, I had understood that we needed space in order to grow organically or naturally or more or closer to our design. Let's put it like this. So I really wanted to offer this to whatever, well, to my son to be. I didn't even know it was a boy, but to really give that space. So that was my exploratory lab at that moment, and yet then becoming a mother is a whole journey. I had a lot of resistance, and as the baby went through literally my pelvic floor, it opened so much of a hidden world that I didn't know of at all, and coming with its beauty and its darkness, like huge darkness as it went through, and again, beautiful lessons coming with this. And I had material to work with, a lot of material to work with to create more space into those memories and to learn to be a mother. What is an organic mother, and how can I offer myself to the best of my capacity to this human being to whom I really want to offer the most space to grow into who he is, not into my projections or into my ideas. And obviously I'm human, so obviously there's still some projections, but that's the that's the calling, that's the main intention. And yes, we can really dive deep into that subject.
What really struck me when you were talking about that is really the notion of space. Like I really feel that something that we lack on a daily basis because of the system that we are in right now. But I really feel like when you talk about space, it's real. Like we can have access to space differently in another way, and it's really interesting to hear you about that. We could talk about it for hours. I'm pretty sure, because it's a very deep subject, and I really feel it that it's been your kind of your path to find more space inside and offer it to others, and I think that's what you're doing now. But
Yeah.
it's really interesting.
But let me just say a few lines, because it's so at the root of everything that we do here, this space, and I really want to bring the different ways of space because, like I said, freedom was really a big thing for me as I was growing, and it still is, honestly. But space, I was finding it before, starting in my teens with different substances, for example, or different relationships, codependency. This was my way of finding space back then. And then I traveled a lot. I was like, wow, to have space and freedom, I need to take my backpack and I need to get the F out of where I live, right? and and I needed to travel, which created more space and more answers. And then space became dropping engineering, right? Or going to work abroad in a total new setup. And then when I got pregnant, I could not do anything of what I could do before. All the kind of escapes, kind of, if I can put it like this, were not accessible to me. So I had a moment of panic. It was very strong. And but then this is why life prepares us, right? So the whole meditation, the whole embodiment practice, this is where I found more freedom then. So, and I traveled. As a traveler, I loved traveling. So I really traveled inside, and it really, really brought me into that spaciousness and into that more freedom. And now I'm entering a new phase, where space is found between the inner world and what is being created outside, so it's bridging material and spiritual. So it's a new way, and it's always evolving. So I wanted to name this because it's really the paradigm, and where we come from and where we're going. We are still traveling into the unknown.
Yeah, very, very interesting. And now that we've gone very quickly through your path, but now you're at a different stage of this journey that you're going through. Like, what are the challenges you're facing now that you have more space or more alignment?
Yeah, challenges and opportunities too. Like every challenge, I really take as opportunities. And for now, let's say challenges. Right now, I'm having this opportunity to learn how to be in relationship in a more truthful way, really in a more deeper and authentic way. Learning to communicate what true needs are, learning to just be true every single moment. That is opportunity and also challenge, because it's like I said, I spent my last 10 years more or less in kind of a yogic mode. So I was very in a comfort zone, in some kind of cavern, right? This is a challenge. Another challenge is really stepping up in more leadership and more visibility in the world, not to prove anything, but really to show up in this time where everything's shifting, where the planet, we have it at heart that it starts rising in its frequency. So I want to show up, and it comes with this challenge of having to put me with a small m on the side and say, listen, there is value inside. You have acquired a certain baggage. People around you have acquired baggages in their life. Let's show up, let's rise and bring people along, bring sisters along, find people who are on the path, surround myself with people who are more advanced per se, and learn. So it is that opportunity, but it comes with discomfort because it's going fast. I feel that the frequencies that we're navigating are super fast. It's making us rise. It's a beautiful opportunity. At the same time, it's asking us to let go faster. Mm-hmm. All the falseness that we have told ourselves, everything that's not true and not aligned. It's like you don't really have time to waste per se. It feels more there's that readiness. And a challenge that I have is really relationships, creating harmonious relationships, like with the father of my son, for example. Really making a point to create harmony, even if we chose at one point to change the format of the relationship. Homeschooling my son is another challenge that I encounter with, the heart-centered platform business that is wanting to be created through this, and also homeschooling, all of this. So many challenges, but beautiful, beautiful opportunities to grow and to bring people along.
It seems to me like it's more opportunities than challenge for you.
I love that work. I mean, I'm in love with the game. It's a love story, or else it's a love story. I would not be doing it if it was not stemming out of love. Yeah, there's tears coming in the way, but behind there's a love that's thriving.
Mm. And hearing you talk about that, what struck me also is, I guess, the pleasure of just doing that, even if it's challenging. Yeah, it feels to me like it's pleasant, and you're doing it with open heart and joy. So it's kind of nice also to see that.
Yes, it's that love, and the love of healing the body, the love of hitting a pain in the body or some darkness, and like the willingness to transcend it, and whatever time it takes, because some are really hooking on, right? It's hooking in the body, it doesn't want to leave, and it's the patience. And I'm gonna name also, it's about the present moment, and it's about not being attached to the outcome result, meaning that my mind is not, it's not at all in the future. Like it's really, how can we make the best out of this moment, be the most authentic in this moment, learn in this moment, knowing that when we are in this moment, organically something gets created through us, and inspiration comes, ideas come, the right people come, and it's to be tuned with that current of life that I love calling, and creating with it, meaning being the receptor as a feminine receptacle, receiving this and giving an output, responding to what we receive, or to what I receive. And this is where personally I find the most potency, the most energy, and yes, there's love, there's joy, there's pleasure, and sometimes it can be chaotic too in the moment. It can be like, oh my gosh, this is so intense. It's like so intense, and sometimes I distract, I diverge, and I'm like, why am I doing this again? But there's no way back. And honestly, I don't want to go back, because it's the unknown, and the unknown excites me. The unknown, it scared me at first, but it's exciting, because it's blank pages. It's like, wow, life is really a mystery. And I have some anchors, obviously, and people who are more stable, people who come and go, and then I get to learn about what safety truly is. What a feeling of deep sense of safety. What does that really mean? And we get to learn. On, yeah, beautiful subjects, deep and profound subjects. Thanks, Kevin, for your sincere questions. It's very precious to have somebody hold space with sincerity. So what is transmitted to whoever is listening right now receives the sincerity, receives the vulnerability, receives our why through what we're sharing right now.
It really was a pleasure for me to talk to you about that. It's something that's really dear to me, and you are dear to me also, and it was really nice. Thank you.
Thanks. So what we can do now is maybe just have a quick check on Facebook, just to see if there's something in the thread that wants to be addressed. Let me check again. Maybe you can also check on, I don't know if you just maybe check quickly, and I'm just going to refresh the feed here, or else we'll be closing. This was the first one of a monthly series. So we're establishing a structure in the Facebook group with different formats of interviews that are going to touch different angles of the journey. So surrounding ourselves last week with people who are on the path, getting inspiration. Today, into this series, it's about, let's say, the path of this platform, the path of who I am and all of this. Next week, it's going to be about interviewing a tribe member, and then we keep on going. So let's see if there's some comments. Okay, all right. So no comments for now, but feel free to post whatever you want to post, and we'll keep on co-creating with everything that's unfolding on this platform. So thanks again very much, Karine. Much love to you, and yeah, we keep on going. All right. Have a beautiful day, everybody. Bye.